Hello and welcome. This is etude number 38 in B major, part 2, one of the etudes being used in Texas for the 2021 All-Region Etudes. Today we're going to look at part 2. Recall that this entire etude has a lot of notes. It covers a very wide range from the low B on the oboe up to high E. Now let's take a look at part 2. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the second part, I want to remind you that before any practicing on the etude, you should get a variety of reeds and soak them in water. Choose the one that you like the best. Do some long tones and then practice the B major scale from low B up to high E. Now let's take a listen to what the second part of the etude should sound like. Now, in preparation for the actual playing, let's review the rhythms. Measures 9 through 16 with the pickup. A 1, 3, 1, 2, pull-let, triple-let, 1 and 2, 4 and 1, pull-let, 2, pull-let, triple-let, 1, a 2, 3, a 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, a 2 and 4 and 1. This section of the etude uses high E and is specifically what we call the right E, meaning that the G sharp key on the right side is used. And it's used in two places. So make sure you review your high E fingering and you're using the G sharp key on the right side for measures 9 through 16. At the very beginning of this section, we have part of the B scale downwards from high E. So let's review that together. E down to F sharp. Play it legato first, then play it staccato, and then use the rhythm. At the end of measure 11, we need to add a crescendo so that the D sharp in 12 is the goal. So I'm going to slowly play 11 and the beginning of 12. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice at a slow tempo, not only are you going to feel more relaxed, but it's very easy to make the listener aware of where you want to go with the phrase. At the end of measure 12, up to the beginning of 13, we have another scale, this time ascending. B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. Recall that you will have to play D sharp on the left side. There's no cheating allowed. Any listener can tell if you skip your fingers. You'll want to play that, of course, many times, both in warm-up and as part of the practice for that little section of the etude. As I mentioned before, left D sharp is an indispensable part of the etude, and any opportunity you have, I think you should go ahead and mark the capital L over those D sharps, especially when they appear as a scale. In addition to the scale, there's a crescendo marked. And as you notice, the crescendo actually continues into measure 13. One of the difficulties of the B major scale is the note A sharp. Sometimes, even at my level, I'm going to miss it if I'm not really focused on the scale material. So why take any chances? Mark any A sharp that you even think there would be a 1% chance you would miss. You'll notice in my music, measure 13, I go ahead and mark that A sharp. When we look at measures 12 and 13, where is the ultimate goal? Ferling has confused us a little bit because he wrote a crescendo marking and then the word crescendo. The most logical explanation is that it's just a longer crescendo that takes us to the note B natural at the beginning of measure 14. There we go. There's our goal note, the beginning of 14. Like the earlier E, the E in measure 14 has got to be played on the so-called right side, the right G sharp key, because we have the D sharp afterwards, which is going to need our left little finger. There's no other way around it. You'll have to use right E again at that spot. After the scale in 14, we have a ugly interval, the leap from D sharp fourth line down to F sharp in measure 15. It is not easy to play. If it were tongued, it would be super easy, of course. But when you slur it, you're going over the break, which makes it tend to have a little bit of a noise in the middle. The key is in the left index finger. The left index finger needs to be really close to the hole so that you move that finger first. You lead with that finger. In measure 16, the left D sharp will be necessary because you have a C sharp right after it. It's the three notes of the scale in order: D sharp, C sharp, B. So left D sharp, right C sharp, and finishing with the B. When you practice a few measures or even one measure at a time or even half a measure, but always add vibrato to the tone. Get used to it. You'll see places in the music like at measure 16 where I've got a faint squiggly line. I've got to remind myself, always, vibrato is always a part of the tone. As you practice the second part of this etude, make a journal. And in your journal, write down daily, what part of this etude did you work on? A measure, half a measure, the scale, the whole thing? What tempo or tempos did you use? How did you feel about your progress? The journaling is an important part of making progress as a musician. This is the end of etude number 38 in B major, part 2.